My name is MariaChungWilloughby. I'm Afro-Korean and Afro-Amerasian. And this video really touched me. I'm not sure the whole significance because I didn't do all the research on it, but it shows monks crossing, taking the path, I guess, of Selma. And some of the monks got injured. One had a leg amputated, another was in the hospital. And this is so ironic to me because I live in Valdosta, Georgia. My family's from Hampton, Virginia. I've been disowned a long time ago, but my mom now is an octogenarian. She's approaching 80, and her birthday is 5 days after the new moon, which would be like February 3rd or something like that, which is completely different from the American birthday. But like the Olita Adams song says, get here. You know, I'm about to get there any way possible. And ironically, currently I'm working on a historic journey through Valdosta, which is very similar to my hometown of Hampton, Virginia, growing up. And through that journey, I'm journeying through the inception, how Valdosta first started, going into how the black churches came to be about, how they branched out, then exploring the non-black churches, and then going into educators, social, the media and journalism, going into the civil servants like the police officers and fire department, and then moving on from there to like city council, and then looking at marginalized people that have been victimized by the criminal justice system, people that are homeless, and so forth and so on, because those are the populations that I work with, and I can identify with every single one. And it broke my heart because as these monks, which are not necessarily Korean, but monks, which are Asian, are traveling the paths that African Americans took in their history. I'm Afro-Asian, I'm both, and I am currently taking the journey of black people through Valdosta, exploring because all of us, regardless of race, is all our people, because we all make up this mosaic of Valdosta and the greater communities that we live in. And it started with me exploring the black churches because I go to black churches, and there's a whole history behind that. And I had my items burned down in a hate crime that there's no record of, right? And then also the Asian side, I'm going back to visit my Oriomani, my mom, and I'm going by foot just like these Buddhist monks are. And sometimes I do consult AI for assistance. So I said, hey, because I looked up the direction, 724 miles walking, and I was concerned because it says it goes through some private property. I'm like, that's certainly not what I want to do here in the South. I've never experienced a sundown town, and I'm not trying to. So, they were like, the AI was like, well, you have a right to be concerned because, different things, finding a place to sleep at night and, wild animals and all that. And when I see that these monks have these things happen, I want to get back to my mom in the same state that she remembers me in, even though she doesn't, she's upset that my life didn't turn out the way she wanted. But the other portion of that too, I remember growing up when we first moved back to the States, and, Koreans of my mom age, always a sad story because wars and things like that, talked about how they had a child that went off to war, came back, and they were all mangled and this, that, and the other. I don't want to be that, but this story really touched me because it really came into alignment with, my experience and my actual journey, mental and intellectual journey, as well as my physical journey and heritage and cultural journey right now. It's a mixture of all those things. And the other thing that really got to me about this, well, I'll leave it at that. But if you have a story and you don't mind me being included in my archives, whether it be from Valdosta, Georgia, which is currently my home, or whether it be from Hampton, Virginia, which is where I was raised, I would love to hear it. Also, specifically with Hampton, Virginia, like 1980, early 1980s, Pastor Williams that lived across the street from where we lived at 827 or 817, I forget, Powhatan Parkway. If you are related to them, they're long past, please let me know. I really would like to get in contact with you and reach out to you, just because you are the reason that I'm surviving today. Your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents introduced me to the black church because my father was an alcoholic, because, black man military. And, Pastor Williams, you know, and his wife, they looked at each other and they said, do you think he's going to make it? He going to be able to hold a steady job? And they were like, nah. So they was like, no, we need to take him to the black church because, of course, the family had to split, you know, to get welfare, whatever. And if it wasn't for them, I would know nothing about the black church. You know, both sides of my family were very racist. But anyhow, love you with the love of Christ. If you have a story that you want to share, let me know. If you're related to Pastor Williams of the 800 block of Powhatan Parkway that lived there in the 1980s, please reach out, because your family is the reason that I'm safe in his arms. And speaking of which, 2 songs that are part of my journey right now in this season are, and I went to the Victory Church this past Sunday. I go to different churches, y'all. And Pastor Jay said he had a song in his heart. He started singing Safe in His Arms by Yolanda Adams. And it just came out because I hadn't heard that song in so long. And that is exactly how I feel right now. I am safe in his arms, in God's arms. And then the other song, coincidentally, also by an Adams, Olita Adams, Get Here, originally recorded by Brenda Russell in 1988, is how I feel about my mom. You know, I don't care if it's railway, trailway, hot air balloon, I'm getting there. I'm going to get there. But anyways, I love you all with the love of Christ. That video really touched me. I don't know if this can even be recorded because I don't have enough space on my phone or the other device. Shout out to Morning Star Baptist Church. Love y'all. But yeah. With that being said, today is What We Need Wednesdays. If you have an old laptop or computer that's still usable, would love to have it. Mental health is emotional wealth. And expression is the antidote to depression. So please. Anyways, I love y'all. Merry Christmas.